Hi, I'm Dr. Mark Eckel, and I am here at Liberty University, and we are going to be speaking today about the practice of biblical worldview integration. Now, when it comes to integration at the Christian higher ed level, we have perennial problems. All of us are going to be engaged in one way or another with some of these kinds of issues that confront us, and we are going to be considerate especially about our students, because the problems that we have now are the problems that our students will be confronting not only now, but later. So here are just a few of those problems. We have some issues with artificial intelligence. These kinds of issues have been popping up since the 1990s. This is nothing new, but it will continue to be confrontational into the future. We are also concerned with issues of censorship. How much, or if at all, do we censor any kind of information on platforms? And then, of course, there's the question of intellectual property. So when we are talking about these kinds of concerns in our classrooms, our students need to be concerned about them as well. Because once again, as I've suggested, these are not just problems for us, they will be problems for the students that will be entering into this kind of world. Now, there are other issues that we confront, issues of business or commerce or finance. All of these kinds of things that have to do with fiscal responsibility, monetary stewardship, are all concerns for everybody, not just the Christian, but also in the public sphere with everyone else. Which then leads me to suggest that during these concerns that we might have, problems that we confront, we are also offering tools of learning that will be beneficial to students. So some of those tools might be research. They might be collaboration. They might be discovery learning. However those things roll out for us in our classrooms, certainly our students are going to be invested with those kinds of concerns as well. Because whatever we're dealing with in the classroom now, our students will be dealing with in the world that they enter after graduation. Now, there are bigger concerns, perhaps even deeper concerns than this, and these have to deal with the 8 great worldview questions. One of the worldview questions that everybody asks is, what's my purpose in life? What gives me meaning, reason? What gets me out of bed in the morning? These are baseline questions that all ask. So when we think about preparing our students for this, we have to prepare them also for the issue of community. How do we get along in a world where not everybody's going to be like we are on a campus that might be a Christian campus? So among many things that we could look at, among many articles, presentations, one of them was out of the Atlantic Monthly, a magazine from 2024. And there appeared an article entitled "The True Cost of the Church Going Bust." So in this particular article, the author was actually asking the question, how do we find meaning? How do we find purpose if indeed people aren't going to church anymore? Because church seems to be the place where people find meaning. So what is the true cost of that? Derek Thompson, who wrote this particular article, said it this way: I wonder if in foregoing organized religion and an isolated country has discarded an old and proven source of ritual at a time when we most need it. Making friends as an adult can be hard. It's especially hard without scheduled weekly reunion of congregants. Now, this is coming from somebody who is an agnostic. And he ends this way in his article. He says, finding meaning in the world is hard too. It's especially difficult in the oldest systems of meaning-making, hold less and less appeal for people. So he's saying the agnostic, the atheist, the person who is the none, perhaps somebody else from another point of view, is saying we are losing meaning because we are losing people who are going to church. So when we think about that, when we consider the concerns that we might have for community and meaning and purpose, and where does all of that come from? We even have unbelieving people who are acknowledging this is a problem, not only for us, but for them. So as I think about this, I think about us at a university like Liberty University, which is preparing its students to think biblically as they engage concerns and questions that confront them everywhere. So we began with problems and issues that we are going to be facing in the classroom. we are also addressing those for students who are going to be leaving this place and then going out into a world that has very difficult problems and very tenuous solutions. So we want to help them by practicing good biblical worldview integration in the classroom. And that depends on the kind of lenses through which we look. Think about the glasses that we might wear to read. When we think about lenses, we are concerned about what kind of lenses we're looking through, and those lenses begin with the Scriptures, with the Word of God. So biblical worldview integration is where we are at. How do we view the world? How do we as Christian educators view the world? And do we, from a biblical point of view, think about these great worldview questions, such as meaning and purpose in life, from a distinctively Christian point of view? Because remember, whatever we are doing in the classroom, however we are constructing our courses, whatever the assessments might be that we have in our courses, all of these things are going to help our students toward thinking biblically about all things from a Christian worldview integration point of view. So, when I think about Liberty University, when I think about biblical worldview integration, I am concerned with 5 distinctive areas. Those would include doctrine, so we're going to consider doctrinal pillars that undergird and establish how we think about the world. We're going to be talking about umbrella principles, that is, overarching ideas that contribute to our thinking. Then we're going to be talking about how do we approach our educational methodology. Then apologetic intersections. How do we think differently? How do we defend a Christian worldview? And then ultimately our methods in curriculum construction. So in residential as well as online platforming.